Never thought I'd be having a counter steer on a Tesla Model 3. 2025 Tesla Model 3 long-range rear-wheel drive. MSRP on these is around $44,000, and today we're going to answer how fun are these in the canyons. If you guys are familiar with the first-gen Model 3, those, good car, but definitely some issues when you took them on the canyons. But with the Highland update from last year in 2024, this car should be driving substantially better because they have addressed some of those big concerns, namely the suspension, which was a bit crashy, especially at the rear in the first gen. Now, this has a single motor in the rear that's making 286 horsepower, 322 pound-feet of torque, and that is direct drive. There's no multiple gears here like in a Porsche Taycan, for example. We have multi-link both front and rear suspension, and we're weighing in a little bit over 3,800 pounds. And today we're joined by Tyler from Realistic.
Hey, how you doing?
Now, this has actually been your rental car from Turo as of yesterday night. So I know you haven't driven this too much.
It's driven me more than I've driven it.
The full self-driving. You're a big fan.
I won't say it impressed me a lot. Is it a feature that I'm like, my next car needs this? Maybe not, but it's something that I was very surprised by.
The interior, I think, is a big update over the prior gen, the first gen. I like these materials. I mean, it's very like Scandinavian minimalist. I wish that I did have a gauge cluster here, but I mean, you got to get used to this and seeing your speed on the screen. What do you think of the steering wheel? I feel like the spokes here are above the center, so then if you want to drive at 9 and 3, I'm finding my fingers having to wrap underneath the center spoke here, and because normally you're kind of driving like this, but now you're at like 10 and 2. Interesting design choice.
It sits in the uncanny valley of steering wheels because
Yeah.
it's like just everything is slightly off. Like it's not a perfect circle. It's not necessarily squared off. And yeah, as you mentioned, like the grip is just it's a little weird. But like I think maybe it's like one person's specific hands, it will be perfect for. And
Like-
everyone else, it's like almost like you put in someone else's mouthpiece.
I like how you said uncanny valley of steering wheels. I think that's a great way to put it. One thing that I do love about Teslas, this just always works. And so many other manufacturers' wireless chargers, they just don't function, even from the slightest turn or they overheat or whatever. That's one of my favorite features, although you don't get Apple CarPlay, which is, I think in terms of livability, a big compromise.
Yeah, especially if people send you coordinates.
Like me.
But
So in terms of driving mode, let's put this into standard acceleration, because this is not the performance. Heavy on the steering, although we'll play around with that. And then can we turn off okay, let's do slip start, which is the closest we're going to get to traction off, because there's no real other option. There we go. I guess slip start does make a difference. Pretty sure it's an open diff at the back, though. Oh man, we should have been doing this earlier. This is adding a whole nother level of fun and engagement to this. Now, we were talking about BMWs previously, right? I think getting behind the wheel for a non-performance oriented EV, I am really surprised because this thing only weighs a bit over 3,800 pounds, and that puts it in the same category as what, like a BMW M2 essentially?
Mm-hmm. And I think that is so pivotal in making this actually not handle like a pogoing tortoise. It feels poised. It feels like it's ready to change direction.
Yeah, that low center of gravity, and since we don't have like, an ICE out in the front end is far more responsive. And in fact, I mean, with the steering, it is very sharp. It's actually a bit more natural than the first gen as well. You haven't driven the first Model 3, right?
I have not.
The steering here is very accurate, very precise. I think they changed the steering ratio slightly. Maybe it's a little bit faster than the prior gen, but it's not overly darty like, a Alfa Romeo Giulia or even some of these BMW M cars like the M2, M3. The biggest improvement, though, is really the suspension. You don't have the crashiness and the harshness at the rear, especially from the first gen. I think they softened the spring rates. have totally new dampers as well. This rides quite a bit better. It's still comfortable, and yet you have good body control because you have the low center of gravity. You don't have to fight, like with an ICE, higher center of gravity, you don't have to fight physics to try to keep it flat. Let's do a pull here. It's not the face-ripping acceleration that you get from many EVs, but again, this is not the performance variant. 322 pound-feet of torque, 286 horsepower. It's enough though, right? It's adequate.
For me, I think we've just been so spoiled by EVs and performance cars in general as of late to where, 0 to 60 in the mid 5 seconds is like, as you said, adequate, but like it is truly more than enough. I think for the commuter that's buying this, I think if you want, a performance model, now you're low 3s, maybe. So if you actually want this thing to dance, and you're going to be driving it around on roads like this, the fact that you don't even need to go to that hopped up version to get speed is...
yeah, this car does not feel slow by any means.
That's a lot to me. I do definitely find there to be less, like, engagement because I don't have that internal combustion sound and that build-up of power. I feel like there's just less, there's less, like, layers to the personality here.
Oh, for sure. And also they added this acoustic glass, right? So it's even quieter inside.
Yeah.
Never thought I'd be having a counter steer on a Tesla Model 3. The traction is still pretty aggressive. Like, there's times when I can feel the rear wanting to come around and then boom, it just cuts power. So like, it lets you play a little bit, but again, if you want full traction off, I think you have to go with the performance.
Yeah. And also, I think with this, we haven't figured out a way to even shut off the one pedal drive. If you let off the pedal at all, it's going to immediately start putting like regenerative braking.
I think because I'm kind of driving harder and cooking it a bit. I think since this is disabled, it's actually not doing as hard of regenerative braking as when I was driving more chill. So for whatever reason, maybe because
it gets hot enough.
Yeah, maybe that's it. The battery's too hot for it to. Actually, I have no idea.
I think that is how it works. I'm pretty sure is if you get it too hot, regenerative braking doesn't work as well. Same thing with when it's really cold out, or if the battery is like full.
This is actually a really impressive driving experience. Like, I am, for a car that is not trying to be an enthusiast choice, you have pretty decent inputs. Like, the steering, I said, is far more natural now. You have a tiny bit of road texture. You don't have much feedback, no dynamic loading at all. And you can also play with the steering weight. Light feels way too light. Okay. Standard's not bad. I actually do like heavy the most. The pedal though, on the brake pedal, when you first get into it, maybe because the regen isn't active now, so it's a little bit more natural, or maybe I'm just used to it. The first 5-10 minutes of me driving the car, I felt like the initial bite and the initial travel of the brake pedal was a bit unnatural, and you didn't get much, and then all of a sudden the pedal would get firm. Maybe because the regen isn't working right now, it feels far more natural, and you actually have a little bit of communication through the pedal too when you start hitting into ABS. Decent feel. And they have multi-link both front and rear. So am I getting a good amount of understeer? Yes, but we're also on these eco tires with super low rolling resistance, so that's probably more the issue rather than the actual setup of the car.
Yeah, this is definitely not ideal for
canyon carving.
Yeah. Well, and for like I think if we threw this on some nice tires, and also I feel like we're going, like, there's so many undulations on that road, and we're like going downhill as well.
Yeah.
That it's really not, everything is working against this car.
Yeah, the reason why I love testing on this road is that it really shows you deficiencies, and it allows you to test suspension because it's not like glass. You know what I mean? And I'm just really impressed. Coming to this review, I thought this car was going to be a bore, have super unnatural inputs. Like, I've driven a Model S Plaid before, and that was a bit unnerving. You had the yoke, and just, it felt very disconnected, and this is not again, a driving enthusiast choice vehicle, but it still gives you a certain level of like naturalness and approachability that I'm actually enjoying it on the Canyons. You have it entertains you by surprising you with what it can actually do. And then you have all the the full self-driving features that you're raving about today.
Raving, yes.
You see even that big bump right there, single compression. The damping is a lot better here than before.
Yeah.
So you don't have, it's still a soft, supple ride, but you don't have those huge limitations from that first gen. I'm impressed, man. At 44K, I mean, what would you pick if you wanted a daily driver that wasn't a massive footprint, something that was quiet, comfortable? What's the choice?
Quiet, comfortable. So
oh, now my regen is back. Maybe it knows how hard you're driving.
It might. It could be related to heat. It could be. I don't know, but if you're going downhill, maybe as well, it might just have been so much inertia working against it that you couldn't feel it as much. But when it comes to what I would drive, Audi S3, as I think like a used or like a CPO Audi S3, you can get those.
But if you're looking for a new vehicle, because a lot of people that want new generally want new. They want the warranty, they want the peace of mind, etc. People that want used, I mean, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
If you look at just new vehicles around $44,000, which is the MSRP for this, assuming you don't get the full self-driving, what else would you get?
That is, so the key there is also something that is comfortable and like something that would be, because for me personally, I lean more toward a GR Corolla or going with a Civic Type R, something that really focuses on performance, either with the GR Corolla being like just a bonkers Corolla. It's not necessarily the best handling vehicle out there, but it's got so much character. I love having a manual transmission. I love having an engine that wants to rev, that makes funny noises. So like this kind of thing is just so out of my realm. Like it is very technically impressive. It just doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of like
emotion.
Yeah.
That's
like,
just part of like the EV downsides.
It is. So I don't even know if I could come up with off the spot like a great car outside of maybe it would be stretching that budget a little bit, but to reach this, maybe a Golf R, something that just does everything. But
yeah, I think as like a driving enthusiast, most of us are still going to go with ICE, especially enthusiast-focused ICE vehicles. Like this is not an enthusiast-focused EV, so we're also like not quite comparing like with like in that way.
No. And
I would say that like if my girlfriend or someone else in my family got this car and I was occasionally driving it, I'd be pretty stoked, because I'm impressed by how good this non-enthusiast EV actually drives, even on the Canyon.
Yeah, I will say, if you just needed a commuter, if I was in a mindset where I already have the Miata, and like what if I had a daily driver and I just needed it to make the most sense as possible, this would be on my short list. This would definitely be on my short list if I could.
Which is shocking to say, because I mean, again, coming into this review, I was not expecting much, but I've been pleasantly surprised. My friends, if you want your car reviewed, visit us on JubbalAndCars.com. Let us know, what do you think of the Tesla Model 3 Highland with a comment down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Check out Tyler's channel, linked below. Much love, and I'll see you all in that next one.